Hey, what's up, y'all? It's popping. It's D. About to react to this vid. This is why everyone loves Yeat. So I recently discovered Yeat. For the longest, I did not want to give his music a chance. I was like, he popular on TikTok. I don't want to hear it. I'm good. But I recently got back in the gym. And if you work out a lot, you know the importance of listening to new music. Because listening to the same shit over and over again, it gets old really quickly. So I was like, alright, fine, I'll give him a chance. And I fuck with his music. I can't lie. I can't lie. I like it. From his album, I downloaded a few songs. I downloaded Talk, Crank, Up Off X, and Out the Way. Out the Way is my shit. That beat is so hypnotic. It's just so good. I love that song. And I don't know what the fuck he's talking about half the time. I can't really understand him. He's not very clear. But I still like it. And I understand about half of it. So that's enough. Whatever. He reminds me a lot of Cardi. But without the extra shit. And I feel like he's a more... He's more rap than Cardi. You feel me? He gives me more rap, hip-hop vibes. More urban vibes, I should say, than Cardi. So I prefer that, to be honest, and I like that. So I like him so far. I can't lie. Anyway, let's see what he has to say about him. Let's watch.
My immediate reaction when I heard Yeat for the first time last summer was, please God no, not another artist that appeals exclusively to teenagers and ends up creating an annoyingly obsessive fan base who comment Yeat better on every single video about any artist or topic that isn't Yeat. And that may kind of be an exaggeration, but it's also not. But then my second thought right after was, damn, this song is actually...
This shit is hard!
This is Volksgeist, and you're watching Why Everyone is Obsessed with Yeat.
I ain't obsessed, but...
This video is brought to you by 80,000 Hours,
a
non-profit sponsor that stream. The big thing about him, the buzz around Yeat right now is massive. This guy is hands down the biggest rapper to come up in the past year and a half. And his rise to the top has been so fast, everything about him and his music is unexpected. But like any good underground rapper who's coming up with a sound that's unlike anything before, Yeat's also got a legion of haters who say he's one of the worst artists they've ever heard. So where is he going? Where did he come from? And why does everybody love Yeat? Born to a Mexican father and a Romanian mother, Noah Olivier Smith grew up in Irvine, California, and moved to Portland, Oregon later as a teenager. He's only 22 years old, and when he mentions his biggest musical influences in interviews, some of the names he mentions most often include Young Thug, Future, and T-Pain. When talking about T-Pain, Yeat said that he's the GOAT of autotune, and as we all know, music today wouldn't be the same without the presence of autotune as an artistic choice. So how did Yeat go from a kid listening to Future and T-Pain in his bedroom to a rapper that many people consider a visionary artist with a top 10 album and passionate cosigns from everyone in the music industry, from Lil Uzi and Gunna to Young Thug and Drake and The Weeknd? Yeat has been making music for a long time. He first started posting publicly online when he was 15 years old. Back in 2015, when the biggest rap albums around were At Long Last ASAP, To Pimp a Butterfly, Rodeo, and Barter 6. The persona of Yeat didn't come out of nowhere. This is something he's been working towards for a very long time. Yeat's earliest music, back when he called himself Lil Yeat from 2015 to around 2018, is pretty much gone from the internet. And honestly, I can see exactly why he wouldn't want it around anymore. If you Google Yeat's first song, there's a Reddit post that comes up claiming to be a Yeat song called Foreign from 2017. And honestly, it's a pretty terrible track. 5 years ago, Yeat simply didn't know how to make a song. If I'm being honest, this song sounds a lot like what most of y'all send me in my DMs, talking about, yo, Volksgeist, I'm 16 years old and I think I'm the next Travis Scott. Can you please post my music? And I never respond because I like to go by the rule. If you can't say anything nice, just don't say anything at all.
Keep it.
I'm definitely not trying to dunk on teenage Yeat because I actually think it's pretty cool that he started
He'll be sending me shit too. I don't know why y'all send. I know nothing about music. I can't connect you with nobody. Why are you sending your music to me? I'll be so confused when I be seeing y'all music in my DMs. Like, what you want me to do with this? Stop.
As a 16-year-old kid with
bad.
terrible auto-tune, rapping on
I listened to a couple of
Travis Scott type beat number 56. There is absolutely no way I could have guessed that he would end up so popular just listening to this song. If you put this track in a lineup and said one of these artists will end up with 7 million monthly listeners and the others will give up on music in 6 months, I wouldn't be able to tell which one was Yeat of this song alone. And I think that's an important thing to know about an underground artist who later found massive success. A lot of artists want it to look like they just came out of nowhere as fully formed rap stars, but the truth is success doesn't come overnight. It doesn't come easy. And absolutely nobody sounds like a fully grown artist when they first get started. It takes a long time to find your voice and build a persona. It's not easy. Even someone like Yeat, who now at the age of 22 sounds like an alien from another world, he started as a random kid making some mid-ass music in his childhood bedroom. If you are trying to make it in music and you haven't made it yet, the only path forward is to just keep going. Another one of Yeat's early tracks is the song Fences, which starts off with a sentimental, bluesy guitar instrumental before Yeat raps apathetically, sounding like a young American Young Lean, with his vocals just completely drenched in autotune the whole way through. It's not half bad, and he was definitely figuring out how to craft a song, but there was still a long way to go for Yeat to become the artist he is today. So much of his early work just sounded generic. But at the same time, I understand why Yeat deleted most of his early music off the internet and changed his name. By the time he did find a stronger artistic sensibility, he probably didn't want to be associated with his old sound anymore. That's why the earliest Yeat music that's officially available online is from 2018. And it's a song called Brink, posted on the underground YouTube music channel Elevator. Brink only has about 70,000 views, but the comments on this song tell a whole different story compared to a track like Foreign. Uploaded over 4 years ago, the comment section is full of stuff like, y'all don't understand that this kid is inventing new melodies. This is insane. And people were saying everyone is sleeping on Yeat, he's so fire, and yeah, this is the future, no discussion. Even 4 years ago, way before Yeat had any recognition in the industry, people could tell that he had what it takes. But he never would have even reached that point if he didn't start from the bottom and build up his craft over a period of years. We're talking 3 or 4 years before Yeat got any success at all. And honestly, Brink is actually a good song. It definitely sounds dated now because the beat is again a generic melodic SoundCloud trap. That genre is deader than dead, but Yeat's flow on this track is top notch. He knew exactly how to create a smooth, catchy melody, and the flow is pretty much perfect. This definitely isn't his final form, but you can really hear how hard he had worked to level up his delivery in every single way. Things about Yeat's early music is that it sounded nothing like what he makes today, because the music he's making now, that sound just didn't exist back in 2018. 2018 was the SoundCloud, melodic trap, distorted bass, XXXTentacion era. So before Yeat found the style he uses now, another important part of his evolution was joining the online rap collective Slay World. Slay World was an online collective made up of over a dozen different rappers, including artists like Summers, Can, Autumn, and more. And if you listen to a track by someone like Summers or Can, you can definitely hear how much similarity there is to Yeat in terms of beat selection, flows, and vocal delivery. And even though the group of Slay World rappers never really went anywhere, they didn't really escape the underground, working with and being around those guys definitely helped Yeat continue to develop into the artist he is today. Yeat's first big moment, his first viral song, basically the beginning of his career as we know it, it was only last year in July. At the time Sorry About That went viral, he had never even performed live before. Yeat's first big moment was The Bell. Sorry About That was a huge hit on TikTok with more than 200,000 videos made using the song. And it's not hard to see why. The TikTok algorithm rewards songs with viral, quotable moments that can be reposted over and over again and used for different bits and memes and jokes. And Sorry About That was absolutely the perfect song to get stupid popular on TikTok. With the Sorry About That chorus and the bells, Yeat was all over TikTok in the summer of 2021. But his viral success was accompanied by tons of people absolutely despising his lyrics, his voice, his beats. People were claiming that hip-hop was doomed if this is what we listen to nowadays, but it was only a matter of weeks before Yeat was getting cosigns and shout-outs from some of the biggest and most influential figures in hip-hop. In August and September of 2021, Yeat was getting shout-outs from Pierre Bourne, Drake, Lil Uzi, Lil Yachty, Baby Keem, Trippie Redd. Even Earl Sweatshirt was expressing appreciation for what Yeat was doing. They all seemed excited about Yeat's unique sound and creative beat selection, and it seemed like Yeat was the future. And a big part of that hype came from Yeat's working relationship with Zach Bia, a record exec who introduced Yeat to Drake and helped him get a deal with Interscope for his first project, Up To Me. Just a month or two after he blew up on TikTok, Yeat dropped Up To Me, his first major label album. Up To Me was an hour-long project that overall gives a lot of insight into the type of artist that Yeat is going to be in his career. This album is an hour long, but its songs are short, 56 minutes, 22 songs. And honestly, none of these tracks really stick out as being particularly different from the others, despite its length, it's very momentary and quick, mostly because of Yeat's completely transitory and random songwriting and recording process. During interviews from the past, Yeat has talked about how he records himself at home without an engineer and doesn't usually have a big plan or anything like that before he goes in to make songs. He thinks of words and raps them on top of a beat. And because of this method, Yeat's greatest strength ends up being the quality of his melodies, his flows, and his ad-libs, to the point where things like lyrics and storytelling basically don't apply to Yeat at all. Because of his lack of structured lyrics or narratives, the time spent listening to a full Yeat album ends up being mostly only bookmarked by the variety of his beat selection, which could definitely be considered a flaw in his music, but honestly, Yeat's beat selection is really good. And honestly, I think without such a varied beat selection, it wouldn't feel that way. There are so many different motifs and sounds in Up To Me, and it makes the album feel alive and multidimensional in a way that it would not if Yeat's vocals themselves were the focus of the songs. Yeat's projects just aren't big albums full of concepts and storytelling. And I really doubt that there are many people, if any at all, who listen to these records from start to finish. That's just not the kind of project it is. But at the same time as making kind of weak albums makes a lot of people critical of Yeat, that's also the thing that makes him so powerful and unique. Yeat has only been in the music industry maybe a year and a half, but he's already got so many songs to blow up on TikTok and social media, and so many streams and so many passionate fans, and it's mostly because he works a lot, makes a lot of records, and he knows exactly what his fans are looking for in the music. Yeat's lack of lyrics is an intentional choice, even though he's only rapping about the same three things over and over: money, drugs, women, in a really apathetic, uninterested sounding reflection. That's not a flaw, that's just a way for him to let the other qualities of the music shine. Would there even be room for the chaotic, trippy beats and bells and wild flows and melodies if he did focus on lyrics? It wouldn't make as much sense to have him be a storytelling technical rapper, and that's why he's not. Two Alive is Yeat's second album, released less than 6 months after his first, and with the deluxe edition, it's almost 90 minutes long. Again, it works very similar to his first record in that it's an extremely long collection of tracks with absolutely nothing tying them together in the way that you traditionally imagine to do so. The biggest differences on Two Alive are firstly that this project debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200 as opposed to Up To Me's peak ranking of 183. And secondly, a big difference with Two Alive is that this record has some pretty high profile guest features with verses from Ken Carson, Young Thug, Gunna, and 2 features from Lil Uzi. Truthfully, most of the songs on Yeat albums are pretty indistinguishable from each other. That doesn't mean it's not fun to put on a Yeat record and listen to it all the way through. It's pretty entertaining, and honestly I found Up To Me more listenable than Whole Lotta Red at times. Each of Yeat's projects has some really interesting creative highlights that are memorable for sure, but when you zoom out and listen to one of these records all the way through, there isn't that much to remember in the bigger picture of a whole 60, 70, 90-minute long album. When I think about what I like from Up To Me, I really like the bell motif throughout the production. I really like the beat selection and the way Yeat works with so many different producers. I think Yeat's flows and melodies and ad-libs are really good, but overall it's easy to understand why some people just don't get it from an album perspective. These albums don't have storytelling, they don't have intros and outros, they don't have, a lot of features. There's not a lot going on in the song structure, big choruses, bridges, hooks. If that's what you're looking for, you aren't gonna find it here. And I haven't even gotten into the way that Yeat is able to completely make up words and use them in his songs, and his whole fan base will just follow along and start using those words too, to the point where there are whole YouTube videos dedicated to explaining Yeat's vocabulary, talking about tonka, twizzy, miney. It might sound goofy, but that says a lot about the levels of creativity and originality that Yeat is going for with his music. There are a lot of criticisms that get aimed at Yeat's music over and over. People have been saying that the lyrical tradition of hip-hop is doomed if Yeat is the future of the genre. People say that his albums are bloated and full of one-dimensional songs. People say he's a ripoff of Pierre Bourne and Playboi Carti, and people say that his scope is too narrow. He makes the same song over and over with no innovation in his work. But I completely disagree. I think Yeat is essentially a creative genius, and anyone who disagrees is proof that in many ways he's ahead of his time. Here's my favorite quote from an article titled "Yeat is the Future, Maybe." Yeat's music sounds almost ahistorical, trapped in a constant present, but it's not hard to trace the lineage of his influence. He's part of a line that starts with Lil Wayne and goes through Future, Young Thug, and Playboi Carti. Yeat is nowhere near a great rapper, and he doesn't seem to be that interested in being a great rapper. But Yeat has personality. He understands how to use his voice to take up space at the center of these maddening beats. Two Alive is way too long and way too dumb, but at its best, it finds a strangely hypnotic space. Yeat understands the kind of rapper that he wants wants to be, and he never edges outside of his lane. His lane is entirely his. The stars are aligning for Yeat. At least in the short term, he's about to be a big deal. Ultimately, Yeat's sound is so unexpected and unlike anything else, from the insane auto-tune and flows to his wild beat selection from dozens of different producers, all combining the most distorted, glitchy sounds they possibly can all at the same time. Yeat is something we've never heard before, and it's all him. He's by far one of the most creative rappers to come out in the past few years. I mean, his music, his sound, his rapping, his flows, everything. It's got Yeat written all over it. He is a character. It only makes sense that millions of people would rally around him and support whatever he makes. In the past few months of Yeat's career, he's only become more and more popular, with his concerts getting shut down due to overcrowding, Lyrical Lemonade music videos, and features from major artists, in addition to a violently passionate fan base who seem to truly feel like Yeat is the greatest artist of our time. He's basically the #1 rising rapper to watch right now. Does he sound anything like what we've heard in the past? No. But is that exactly what we need right now, in a time when music is way too similar?
I would agree that is
feels like
something I've never heard before. I
don't
agree with that at all.
For the art, having someone like Yeat who makes no sense, whose music exists for its own sake and doesn't fit in with a crowd, that's exactly why he's the breakout artist of the past few years. Everything about Yeat is unique, from the hyperactive rage beats, the way he created his own bizarre dialect, to his melodies and his many different flows. Whether or not he lasts the test of time is anyone's guess, but right now, Yeat is one of the most interesting rappers out there. Even if it doesn't make sense to you yet, remember that art changes, culture changes, and just because Yeat may not sound good to you doesn't mean he isn't one of the most creative young artists working today. To quote Zach Bia, the record exec who signed Yeat and helped him get a big boost in the early part of his career, artists like Young Thug and Cardi have already broken down a lot of doors. The internet's completely changed with TikTok, and the way the world is set up now, there's a perfect storm for someone new and unique to come in. It's time for a new generation. I feel like there's been artists that have dominated the last decade, and now as we're looking at the new era of music, it's primed for someone new to come in, and I think Yeat is that artist. I'm Philip, this is Volksgeist, thank you for watching.
Yeah, I don't know about all this. I don't know. I like his music. It's very surface level. It is stupid, but it's catchy and it's interesting, to a certain degree, and it's, nice to work out to. That's my opinion on him and his music, but I don't feel like he's this lyrical genius and oh my god, this is so innovative that I ain't never heard no shit like this before. Like, that's not the vibe that I'm personally getting. He reminds me a lot of this artist that I like called Funeral. Although Funeral is a bit more melodic and, he sings a lot more. Typically just raps. I mean, he makes certain sounds and shit with his voice as well. But, Funeral is a bit more melodic than he is, I would say. But they have a lot of the same, like, their approach is kind of similar. I don't want to play it because it's going to get copyrighted, but in the backseat. That's my shit. A song I really like by Funeral is called Backseat. But his music sounds kind of similar to Yeat's in my personal opinion. So, and like I said, he reminds me a lot of Cardi. I do hear, Future and Young Thug influence, but he just doesn't rap as much as them. Like, he's not using as many words, in his songs, but I don't feel like he's doing anything that's completely out the box. But maybe I need to listen to him more. I only heard his, most recent album, but from that, I didn't get that, oh my god, he's totally ahead of our time. Like, wow, this is the future. That's not the vibe that I personally got, but, sure, that's what some people are getting, I guess. I'll keep an eye out for him, though, and see what happens and see where his career goes. But I do like him so far. Y'all let me know what y'all thought, though. Let me know what other videos you want to watch, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!